look at Tinubu's politics in Nigeria in isolation from what he learned from Chicago politics. Also, do not look at the declaration of emergency rule in Rivers State by Tinubu in isolation from what he's planning to do in Lagos State, the positioning of Seyi Tinubu for governorship in 2027. These are the key sound bites I want you to take away from here. We thought Wike won yesterday. Wike lost. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has used Wike as a toilet paper and he's ready to throw away the toilet paper. If you've ever watched my video before, I think this is one that is 100% political analysis. Rivers State and Lagos State 101 as it relates to Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Remember that Bola Ahmed Tinubu was a drug run in Chicago in the 70s and 80s before he went home. And if you recall, when Bola Ahmed Tinubu became governor of Lagos State, he made at least 5 to 8 visits to Chicago, official and unofficial, during the first 15 months of his administration. Over the last 70 years in Chicago, the Daley family has been mayor of Chicago for almost 50 years. Richard J. Daley the father and Richard M. Daley the son. Richard J. Daley from 1955 to 1976. Richard M. Daley from 1989 to 2011. Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Lagos from 1999 to 2025, positioning Seyi Tinubu to be governor of Lagos State starting in 2027. Richard M. Daley, Richard J. Daley, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Seyi Tinubu, you get the picture. But let's go to Rivers State. I'm going to tell you what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is doing in Rivers State and how Onyesom Wike's politics in Rivers State may be finished, even though he doesn't know it yet. And if he remains federal capital territory minister, he's going to be a lame duck if he stays there till 2027. But very likely he's going to be removed because you know how volatile he is. When he finds out what Tinubu is doing in Rivers State, he's going to explode and Tinubu is going to kick him out. Now, what do we care if Tinubu kicks Wike out or if Wike kicks Tinubu out? That doesn't help Nigeria. What helps Nigerians is that people who understand what's going on start taking the truth of what 2027 means to the people. If we tell the truth, if we tell the people the truth and not rely on the politicians, we have a chance. Listen to this lady.
We got to educate folk. We got to make sure that we are educating them and that we are really getting into truth telling. And that is something that each and every one of you can do. Nobody wants to listen to a politician, but they'll listen to you. And so I'm asking in this moment where everyone is so scared that you be our ambassadors, that you go out and you be the truth tellers and you talk to any and everybody within your circle that will listen to you and you influence them to know better, to research, and we can heal this country.
Hello, everybody. Once again, this is Fred Wankwa coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And as usual, I'd like to say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you, depending on where you are around the world. By the way, do you like what we're doing so far? Do you like our videos? Before we get into Rivers State and Lagos State and Bola Ahmed Tinubu and its connection to Chicago, have you liked the video? Do you subscribe to our video? Have you shared the video? Do you leave comments when you watch the video? If you do, thank you very much. If you don't, why not? There are algorithms that YouTube uses to place our video and its ranking and how it gets shared and go viral. All those things depend on you liking, sharing, subscribing, and leaving a comment. Don't you want us to succeed? Don't you think what we're doing is good? If you do, please help us grow. Like the video, share the video, subscribe, and comment. Tinubu will be finished in 2027. Unless a miracle happens, the North is done with him. The only way Tinubu gets the North is that he mortgages Nigeria to the North. That's not likely going to happen. Even though this is politics, in desperation, politicians can do anything. But let's assume he doesn't mortgage Nigeria to the North. Then his strategy will be to do in Rivers State what he did in Lagos, and then duplicate that in the entire South and try to bribe people in the Southeast to vote for him. Now let's see what he did in Lagos. Remember that Tinubu was a drug runner in Chicago in the late 70s, early 80s before he moved back to Nigeria. And while he was in Nigeria, his drug operation in the Chicago, Gary, Indiana area continued to go on. Tinubu did in Lagos what he learned from the political machine, the democratic political machine in Chicago. There is a family in Chicago called the Daley family. The Daley family has produced 2 mayors, and between the 2 mayors, they have ruled Chicago for almost 50 years. So now it brings me to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his Lagos ambition. Everybody talks about Babangida, the evil genius. Nigeria hasn't met their evil genius until they are done dealing with Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Everything Bola Ahmed Tinubu picked up from Chicago is the criminal elements of Chicago or the corrupt elements of Chicago. And he fell in love with it. And he came back to Nigeria to perfect what he learned in Chicago. Bola Ahmed Tinubu has been governor of Lagos State for 8 years, 2 terms, but has more or less run Lagos State for 26 years up to this date, and he's poised to make his son the next governor of Lagos State in 2027, which will mean he has run Lagos State at that point for 28 years, and now he plans his son probably to go beyond what the Daley family, the father and the son, Richard J. Daley and Richard M. Daley, did in Chicago, which is only about 42 years. But the reality is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu will do exactly that unless people in his main base in Lagos stop him. And it's shameful that with all the braggadocio that comes out of Lagos and with all the educated minds in Lagos, that this man, up till this point, over the last 26 years, has done nothing but turn all those brilliant minds in Lagos into toilet paper that he uses to wipe his ass. That needs to change. And I say that respectfully, in deference to the Lagosians, who I know have what it takes to take the next 2 years and strategize to beat Bola Ahmed Tinubu and his son, Sheyi, out of the ambition of becoming the next governor of Lagos State. But I wouldn't be doing you justice if I didn't tell the story about how the Daleys did it in Chicago. So now take time and listen to how the Daley machine worked in Chicago, and then you'll understand what Tinubu has been doing in Lagos the last 26 years, and he plans to continue it. There is a method to his madness. I want to take you through the method that got him to his madness in Lagos. Richard J. Daley, the father, was the mayor of Chicago from 1955 till 1976. He would have continued, but he died in office. Then in 1989, Richard Daley Jr. became the mayor of Chicago, and he was the mayor of Chicago from 1989 to 2011. That's why I said Daleys have been mayor for almost 50 years. Before I go to Tinubu, John F. Kennedy became president of America because Richard J. Daley, the father, mayor of Chicago, handed him the presidency. The Chicago election was rigged 1,000%. There was no voting in Chicago. They rigged the election in Chicago to make Kennedy president. So now when Tinubu returned to Lagos and started his Lagos ambition in 1999, he took time out and visited Chicago a lot. And on every one of those visits, he was making friends at City Hall. City Hall is Chicago's seat of power. In those friendships, they taught Tinubu how the Chicago political machine worked, which means they taught Tinubu how to rig elections. In Chicago, every ward had an alderman. The alderman is like the local government chairman in Nigeria. And each ward that the alderman controlled had about 7 precinct captains. Those precinct captains are the foot soldiers. Each one of those precinct captains is assigned a section of the ward, which is that part of Chicago. They know every family or almost every family that counts in that ward. So between those 7 precinct captains in every ward in Chicago, they have the ears of every household in Chicago telling them exactly how to vote. And along the way, there are kickbacks that those families get. They help them with things that are tangible, that make them completely loyal to the Democratic Party. What did Tinubu do in Lagos after he got elected in 1999? He did the same thing in the local government areas of Lagos. Every local government has thugs. So imagine 7 thugs in every local government area, and I mean 7 significant thugs who now had their agberos that they are affiliated to. And every significant voting family in every local government has influence from that thug that runs the area, because if you're not voting for Tinubu in that area, they're going to harass you out of there if they don't kill you. So now, multiply the local government areas in Lagos by all those thugs that Tinubu has everywhere, and you saw why PDP never won any significant election in Lagos, because Tinubu was controlling everything with his grassroots thug politics. Like the Democrats control everything in Chicago with their grassroots thug in the form of pressing captain, iron fisting, arm twisting people in every segment. Now, what Nyesom Wike has done was to study what Tinubu has done in Lagos for 24 years leading up to the election in 2023. And by the second term, he decided to start working towards duplicating what Tinubu is doing in Lagos, in Rivers State. So if you notice, and this is where Tinubu is now playing games. Right now, people think that Nyesom Wike's forces have won in Rivers State. Yes and no. Nyesom Wike's forces have found a way to get Fubara out of office and his deputy governor. But Tinubu's political craftsmanship, while doing that, also nullified the House of Assembly in Rivers State. Remember that almost everybody in that House of Assembly in Rivers State, it was Wike who paid for them to get the certificate to run for House of Assembly. So what Tinubu has done now in essence is that he has removed Wike's, and I'm not even sure Wike saw that coming and probably hasn't realized, Tinubu has removed Nyesom Wike's political base by nullifying the Rivers State House of Assembly and bringing in an administrator. And as far as I'm concerned, it's a military administrator of Rivers State, a military dictatorship. What Tinubu sold, which is illegal in the first place, but even in that illegal thing, what he sold is that he suspended Fubara for 6 months. That's a lie. The only way Fubara comes back, whether it's in 6 months or in 2 weeks, is that the grassroots in Rivers State sets that state on fire and make it ungovernable in a way that it's so embarrassing to Tinubu that he has to back off and find a way to call for new elections or reinstate Fubara or whatever. But if the grassroots in Rivers State try to do political correctness, or they fall for the money that Tinubu is going to pump into the grassroots to brainwash them to back off from what they're trying to do. If Tinubu succeeds in bribing the grassroots in Rivers State, Nigeria's democracy is finished. The reason being that come 6 months, Tinubu is going to find a way with his Supreme Court to have this military administrator continue until the 2027 election. If this military administration continues in Rivers State till 2027, there's not going to be any election in Rivers State. And notice that Tinubu, our APC, is gradually trying to duplicate the same thing in the other states in the south. I don't know about the north. In Anambra, they've come in and picked Valentino Zibo, who used to be a PDP candidate in the last election and has been shadow working with Labour Party with Peter Obi. Now he's the APC candidate for governorship in Anambra State, which I'm not sure he'll succeed because Soludo is starting to correct some things that may make him popular between now and election day. But think about it. If Tinubu succeeds in using money and bribery to upset Anambra and put an APC governor there, and they're trying to do it in the other states, in Rivers State, he's not going to need Wike because he has neutralized Wike's forces. The House of Assembly, which he bought, has been nullified. The new people who come in there will be coming in as Tinubu's people. So Tinubu has succeeded in playing Wike, and between now and 2027, Wike is now removed as federal capital minister. He's going to be a lame duck federal capital territory minister between now and 2027, because with what Tinubu is doing now in Rivers, he's not going to need Wike to win Rivers. He's going to need the military administrator and whatever forces he builds between now and 2027. So folks, that's why I said that our challenge, not just the people in Rivers State setting the place on fire, literally. I don't want to see Nigeria on fire, but I'm saying if that's what it takes to embarrass Tinubu out of Rivers State, it has to be done. And in Lagos, that's the most disappointing thing for me. Remember that I told you that Richard M. Daley became the mayor of Chicago from 1989 to 2011. You see what's going on in Lagos? They are setting up Sheyi Tinubu to become the governor of Lagos State in 2027. The only way that will happen is that the voters in Lagos sit back and give up and just assume Tinubu owns Lagos and do nothing about it. And that's why I say that Nigerians talk the talk and don't walk the walk. Because when you come into Lagos and see all these heavyweight politicians, Bode George, the lady former deputy governor, and all these heavyweights in Lagos, an illiterate, uneducated drug dealer runs the most significant state in Nigeria for the last 26 years. It's a young youth copper that just stood up to President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. She's less than 25 years old. How many more 25-year-old Nigerians are ready to walk the path that Ushe, that's her name, the youth copper, Raye Ushe, how many of them are ready to walk the path of Raye and challenge Tinubu in all 36 states of Nigeria? And like I said, if Tinubu is trying to control rivers, the only way Nigerians can stop him is fire for fire. If we have to set Rivers State on fire, that's what needs to be done. When we get them out of rivers, we are going to contribute our widow's mite across the country to rebuild Rivers State and make it better than it looks today. But until we get Tinubu out of Rivers State, we need to set that damn place on fire. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, this is Fred Wanko coming to you from our studios in Chicago with another edition of Bold Talk on Island TV. And until next time, good night and God bless.
and peace, the cockcrow and the sun, oh we had. Rise early at sunup, we go to the farms, drive the monkeys away from the maize farms, and the birds away from the rice farms. Come back home at sundown, sometimes a little later.